Get your streaming devices ready, load it up and press play. It's time for Netflix and Chill with Tom and Reuben. I'm Reuben.
I'm Tom. I'm never going to get over that name, man.
Dude, it's funny. I don't
It's fucking
care.
hysterical. I know.
I told the people about it, and they just chuckled. I'm like, yeah, it's funny.
It's funny because it's ironic. I get it.
Totally ironic. So,
shit, man.
This week's installment of Netflix and Chill, we bring to you Thor Ragnarok, the third film in the series, and quite frankly, in my opinion, the best in the series.
I'm not gonna argue with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the first. I enjoyed the first Thor movie. I thought it was pretty damn good. The second one was abysmal. Like there were good moments in it, but yeah, it sucked.
I don't even remember the second one.
Yeah, Dark World.
Oh yeah. Okay.
World.
Yeah. Okay. That was the one with where Natalie Portman was like she was in it for like 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. This one she wasn't in it at all.
No. And they even kind of made mention of that as well at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so this was our movie this week.
Yeah, and this was Reuben, the comic book guy's pick. I wasn't arguing though. Yeah.
Right. I dug it, man. It's just one of those movies. This was like a buddy cop film.
It's fun. I like this one a lot. I'm not a big comic book movie guy. I mean, I'm okay with some of them. I love the Captain America movies, the Winter Soldier and the first one, but this one was a ton of fun, man. This was really cool. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. This one was a good one. So it kind of starts off, dude. It just like at the opening salvos of this movie, you could tell that it was going to be fun.
It's like yeah. Go ahead.
Like he starts off, he's stuck in he's telling this tale, and he's stuck in a cage, and he's talking to a skeleton.
Well, you think he's breaking. What's the rule, right? You're not supposed to talk to the camera.
Breaking the fourth wall.
The fourth law, yeah. Right? You think he is, but then you realize he's talking to a skeleton inside of a cage, which is pretty funny.
Right, and then the skeleton's jaw just falls off as he's talking to the skeleton. Yeah. And then he finally just says, he's like, well, what are we going to do? Or something like that. And then the bottom of the cage drops out, and he's just swinging there, slowly rotating. Yeah. I don't know. I can't even remember the bad guy's name.
I don't remember whatever
I'm
it
call
was.
Him Sauron for the lack of my knowledge.
It had the same look to him, right? He was on fire with the big horns or whatever.
He was totally a Balrog, and he's getting all hardcore about Ragnarok, and Thor's just like, oh, hold on.
as he's twisting
on
around the chain, dude. And he's like, I'll swing back around. Hold on, I'm not even doing this. It's just doing it by itself.
Right.
I gotta say, I don't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
I don't like. I mentioned it on last week's that Guardians of the Galaxy are my least favorite ones, and it's because it's all comedy and it's all Chris Pratt just with these one-liners. And normally I don't like that which is I think why I like the Captain America one so much. But I gotta say, man,
they're pretty straightforward.
They're pretty straight, right? Yeah. But I gotta say that this one, Thor's line, they're all perfect. Whoever wrote his lines, whoever wrote that comedy in there, yeah, I mean it's goofy, it's corny, but you got to remember you're watching a comic book. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you're not watching a documentary. And all of his lines are just perfect. I laughed at every single one of them. Every fucking one, every time.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just one of those great. It's just fucking great, man.
It's really good, man.
And then he's going through, he's doing this massive battle to get out of this hell world that he's on. And he finally and just the action was fantastic. He he's fighting that dragon, and he just puts like Mjolnir on his fucking head, and he's the only one that can lift this hammer. And like, so the dragon's just stuck on the ground under this hammer while he's beating the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, wasn't that scene? Didn't that scene? Because there's two scenes with "Immigrant Song" from Zeppelin. Wasn't that scene in there? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
which is perfect. Which is absolutely perfect because it's totally like it. Again, it's not supposed. It's kind of comic relief, and it's just the perfect song for that scene, man. It's so good.
Yeah, dude. That song had to cost them so much money to use.
I would imagine,
song.
but Marvel's making. I mean, God, man, they're making a ton of. I mean,
oh yeah,
good God,
well, I mean,
they're
like,
just
like when Kevin Smith did Tusk.
Yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
I have not.
Okay, I think it might be on Netflix. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
That might be one of the horror movies we have to do.
We'll have to do that.
But when he did Tusk, they actually used Fleetwood Mac's Tusk. And he was like, yeah, that was a majority of the budget for the movie.
Oh, really?
To secure the rights to that song.
Oh,
jeez. It's like, it's a Fleetwood Mac song that nobody knows. Nobody gives a shit about because it was on the Tusk album.
Yeah, it's a good song, though. It is a good song.
Oh,
but
dude, yeah.
Oh, man.
So, yes.
Yeah, but that's a great scene. It's a great opening scene. And it's, dude, the whole story that they tell. I mean, it's right. The whole arc is the whole story of, it's Thor's hero story or whatever. But it was so good, man. It was. I love that scene. I love that opening scene. The way it just plays out, and like you said, with the dragon when he drops his hammer on the dragon's face, and he's just kicking everyone's ass. I was laughing my ass off. This fucking dragon can't move.
Dude, and how dope was it when he was like spinning Mjolnir around? And he was just taking guys out, dude. It was like a total video game.
Yeah,
it was pretty badass.
Like you said, man, the action in these fight scenes in that one, and then in the one at the end, the action is great. It's as good as any action in any of the Marvel movies. I just
for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not the biggest comic book movie fan, so like for me to enjoy this movie this much, and I've seen it 3 times now.
Yeah, this was probably the third or fourth time
man.
that I've seen it.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah.
So then after that, like he finally gets to the surface of whatever planet that he's on, and he's like, "Heimdall, get me out of here!"
Oh, yeah.
He just stalls out.
Yeah, because what's his name? The Heimdall is gone, and he's the dude with the bald head.
He's on
with
the lamb.
Go ahead.
You know who that is? That the guy with the lightning bolts on his head that took Heimdall's place? That's Carl Urban.
Okay.
And he played Bones on the last 3 Star Trek movies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And he also played Judge Dredd in that really badass Dredd movie that came out a few years back.
I didn't see that.
Oh, dude, that's a good ass movie.
Is it good? The most recent one?
Yeah. And it's good because it's like I never read the Judge Dredd comics, but I know enough about it to know that it was pretty faithful to the source material.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like the Stallone version. Ugh.
Yeah, I remember seeing the Stallone version when I was a kid, and I didn't care much for that.
So then he finally gets off world, and dude finally opens up the Rainbow Bridge to get him to Asgard.
Right.
And as the Rainbow Bridge closes, it cuts the head off of one of the demons,
which was great.
Splatters, dude, and it splattered like Keith Urban's character is just sitting there trying to totally like impress these chicks, and he's got his double machine guns out. He's like, I got these from Texas.
I call them Des and Troy because they destroy.
Yeah. Oh my god. And so then he like starts yelling at Thor about like, oh yeah, you find like, I'm just getting ready to get into with these girls, and you cover them in like dragon's blood or something like that. I was like, dude, that was fucking hilarious.
It was one of the best. Like this was, I think, one of the reasons why that scene exemplifies one of the reasons why this movie was so good, because it never took itself really too seriously. It was like always from the word go, it was like you're just going to be on a roller coaster ride. You're going to have a good time, and we're never going to take anything really, really seriously. We're just going to have a good time. And it was, when he cuts the thing's head off and just the green freaking shit all over everything, I was, and the chicks go off running away.
Dude, it's perfect.
It was really good.
Absolutely
it was really good. Well, and even the next part of that scene where he says, where's Odin? And he, well, I'm supposed to announce you. And Thor just freaking takes off.
He just
the dude's like, oh fuck, and goes starts running after him.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Thor gets there. Thor gets to where Odin is, right? And they're watching this play of Loki, right? Loki conquering or the Loki hero thing or whatever, and
they're reenacting the last scene
right
of Dark World.
Yes,
Loki apparently dies.
Where Loki dies, and Thor shows up and challenges Odin and knows that Odin is actually Loki, in disguise or whatever. And we're going to spoil the shit out of this, because if you haven't seen this yet, this movie's been out for a year. If you're listening, you've seen this, right? So Loki's in disguise, and right at the moment, when everything is okay, now we know what's going on, and it's all of the worst of everything has happened. Here comes this dude with the lightning bolts on his head, comes running up. Thor approaches.
The best part of that whole play sequence is Matt Damon is playing Loki.
I know. I noticed that.
And the dude playing Thor, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Liam Hemsworth. It's Thor's
okay.
Life.
I thought that might be the case, because it looked a lot like, because they look a lot alike.
Chris Hemsworth. Oh yeah, the Hemsworth boys. I think there are 3 of them, and they all look like, you could tell they're definitely related.
Yeah.
So he had his brother was actually playing him, and the best was Thor was like, I'm done with this shit, and he throws Mjolnir, and he holds Odin's head, and he's like,
right.
You know that this will come back to me no matter what's standing in its way, and
even your face,
right?
Yeah.
And he finally yields, and it's Loki underneath, and he's like, all right, I got it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And when he's finally back in Asgard, he walks up, and there's that massive statue of Loki in gold.
In gold with the horns on his head.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
And even in the play, build me a statue, with my helmet on, the one with the big twisty horns.
Right.
as Loki's dying in the play, those are his dying words. Build me a big statue with my twisty horns on my head.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So good, man. And the funny thing is that Matt Damon actually was not credited at all in the movie for that role. I mean, it was it was just one of those special cameos. He didn't get credit for it. Yeah. I mean, even in IMDb it says uncredited.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't look that deep in the IMDb thing, but that's interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then after that, what happens after that, dude? I was trying to watch it again.
I know.
Today,
I was watching it again. I had it on today while I was doing stuff. I was cleaning out the basement, and I had it on, and well, eventually they get to Earth.
After that they go to Earth to find Odin.
Right, to find Odin. And that's when probably one of my favorite characters in all of the Marvel Universe shows up for that short time.
Doctor
Strange. Which was
they're standing on the corner looking at this is where I put Odin.
Yeah.
And it's they're tearing down the nursing home.
And this is where I left him right here. You left him right here on this corner, or you left him right there in that building that's getting torn down.
Right. And then the 2 young girls come up to him and be like, "Oh, can I get a picture? We're so sorry that Jane dumped you." He's like, "Well, no. I mean, we dumped each other.
She didn't dump me. It was mutual."
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it's not taking itself too seriously. It's just for fun. It's just having a good time.
Absolutely.
And that's when Doctor Strange shows up. He drops Loki through the sidewalk, and
he's like, "I was falling for 30 minutes."
30 minutes.
And they're just he teleports him into the Sanctum Sanctorum, or the Sanctum Centaurus, and like every time we turn around, they're in a different location in the building, and Thor is just like, he's just completely like disheveled. He has no idea where in the fuck he's at.
Yeah, well, and he's spilling beer all over the place because Strange gets him a beer, and every time they turn, he gives him a tea, and he says, "I don't drink tea," and then he hands him a beer.
Well, what do you drink? And he drinks the beer, and then all of a sudden, the stein fills itself back up. Oh, God damn, that was perfect.
Yeah, it's
absolutely perfect.
It's so funny, and as they're going through from room to room of this house, and every time they turn around, like you said, he's just so confused and like so disheveled,
and he's breaking something,
and just right.
And the best is like he gets to that one the first time they like move to one room. It's almost like it's like the trophy room or something, and something breaks, and he's like, "Oh, it was like that when I got here."
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was so good, and I love the Doctor Strange movie. We went to see that together, and you fell asleep.
Yeah, because you fuckers didn't wake me up as I asked you to, because I told you I'm going to fall asleep. And you're like, Reuben fell asleep.
I know, and I feel bad about not waking you up. I do.
No, you don't.
No, I kind of do. But I do. I do like Strange's character, and I mean, and even when Strange shows up, it's still not. Well, I mean, through that whole scene, right? Thor's goofing. Yeah. I mean, he's dropping beer all over the place. He's breaking shit, and then when he holds out his hand what's the hammer's name? You've said it 100 times. Mjolnir. Even when he holds his hand out when they're leaving,
it's the umbrella.
It's the umbrella. But the umbrella is
a nice callback. The umbrella is actually a callback to the comics.
Yes, I remember that Thor when I was a kid.
Yeah, because back in the day, Thor actually had an alter ego, where he was like some doctor, and Mjolnir was actually an umbrella here on Earth when he was his alter ego.
Right. Yeah,
and that was the best when he was. For one, he fell down the stairs, and then he holds his hand. Like Strange is like, "Don't forget your umbrella," and he holds his hand out, and you just hear fucking Mjolnir just breaking shit,
glass shattering. Yeah, sorry.
And Thor just goes, "Sorry."
Yeah. It was a good scene, and I like Strange's part in it, and and then where did they now after that? Then they went
to Norway. They actually met up with Odin. Odin's like, that's when he drops the bomb. Like, oh, you got a sister.
You have a sister, and she's a giant bitch, and
she's the goddess of death.
Goddess of death.
And the only thing that's been holding her back is me being alive.
Right.
And then he does his God dies thing where it just goes he gets glittery and
then he's gone. I don't know.
And then he just disappears, and next thing you know, like Thor is like, "This is your fault" to Loki. "This is all your fault." And next thing you know, Loki turns and there's this black spot in the sky, and here comes Hela. Well, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, okay. I remember reading some of the comics as a kid, and I remember Thor I read a few of, but it always is Loki's fault. Even even at the end, I know he's the god of mischief, and I understand that. But it's like at some point, doesn't Thor just say, "Listen, man, fuck you"? And because he keeps fucking shit up every single time. Even this one, it was his fault. It was his fault that Odin was, trapped on Earth. It was his fault that Odin basically died on Earth and Ragnarok started. And it basically was Loki's fault.
Loki's fault.
Lodi.
Sure.
Yeah, I was confusing that with the Creedence song Lodi.
Garfield.
Well, I was thinking of Lodi.
The CCR song.
Yeah. Or the Tesla version.
Well, Tesla covered it, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then dude, then comes Cate Blanchett looking fucking hot as hell.
I know, man.
She played she's an incredible actress. She's not been in anything where I was like, "Oh, that's okay." She's just a great actress to top it all off. And she played a great elf in the Lord of the Rings trilogy where she played Galadriel, and she was really pretty as that. But dude, when she got all goth, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, she was smoking. Yeah, for sure, she was smoking in this movie. Yeah,
dude, and she fucking destroys Mjolnir. like like Thor throws it at him,
shatters
and she just catches it, and he's like, "That's not possible," and she's like, "You have no idea what's possible."
Oh yeah,
dude,
Oof.
yeah.
Yeah, well, as Loki said later, she shattered your hammer like glass. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, dude, and she totally did. Like, when I saw that in the theater, I was like, oh, shit. Like, that was crazy, dude.
And I remember, like, and again, and this goes to my not knowing enough of the comics and my not being a big reader of the comics, but that whole thing with, what the hell is Hela is her name, right? That whole thing with Hela, and Hela being the firstborn, and Hela actually being the heir to the throne of Asgard and being more powerful than Thor and all that. That to me seemed like out of place. Like it was it was a diversion from the actual story. Like it was out of place and it shouldn't have been there, because it almost was like they were trying to do something to like create this conflict or thing. Because I always thought of like, well, no, Thor's Thor. He's the fucking badass. He's the guy, right? The firstborn of Odin. Like, he's the one. But apparently now not. And it's like, is that consistent with any of the comic books, or is that something that they just kind of made up?
I think it might be pretty consistent with the comics, actually, because I know Hela is actually a character and was a character in the books before the movie happened.
Okay.
So I'm presuming, because I've read Thor for probably the last 6-7 years. Like, that's the one Marvel comic that I consistently have read. But I do not recall, they haven't brought, like, because Jason Aaron's been writing for Thor forever, and that's why I continue to read it, because he's an incredible writer. But in his entire run, I do not believe they've ever brought Hela into the picture. Like, they've never used her. I'm sure that they've used her in some of like the Avengers books or something like that, but I really don't read enough Marvel to be like, yep, that's her. She's in there all the time.
Oh, okay.
But I do know, like, paging through some old books and stuff like that, I have seen her, and she had popped up in a few books here and there as well. Like, there's also a there's Angela, and she's like the the goddess. She's like another goddess as well, and she's also related to Thor too, much like Hela is.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like,
so it's not inconsistent then. It's not. It's not a complete diversion from the comics and from the original stories, and that. Yeah, because that just seemed like, and again, it's probably just my ignorance of the storyline and of the Marvel universe, but it just always seemed to me like, well, Thor's Thor. I mean, there's nobody stronger. Nobody he's fucking Thor. But
like, and that even goes further, like later on in the thing where he's like the strongest Avenger. And we're like, sorry, that's not right. But like, even then, like you were like, as you said, it didn't seem right. They were shoehorning.
You got it. Shoehorning.
Yeah, it just sounded dirty. I don't know why.
That's
they're
all right.
shoehorning in some.
They're shoehorning something.
Drama. Yeah, they're whoring some drama.
They're whoring a shoe. What?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Every family has a little dirty secret somewhere that they've kept hidden from their kids.
Yeah.
Whether that be, oh, guess what? You have a secret sister that we never told you about because, we were young and dumb and full of cum, and, well, your mom was. So we put her out for adoption,
Yeah, well, and like I said earlier, this was really, I mean, this whole movie was really the hero's journey for Thor, and he needed to have that. He needed to have that stronger, that he needed to go. I mean, it's the hero's journey, right? You have to go into the depths of hell. You have to go, right? You have to face your greatest enemy. You have to face your greatest fear. And in this case, it was Hela. And so I suppose even if they made her up, it fit into this movie, and it wasn't. But again, like you said, it wasn't inconsistent with the original story and with the Marvel universe. But regardless, it fits in this movie, and Cate Blanchett is great and freaking smoking.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So then, like, after that, like, they end up back at, like...
Loki's that's when they end up on Jeff Goldblum's planet. Because after the battle with Hela, then they get thrown out of the Rainbow Bridge by Hela.
And Hela ends up... Yeah,
she ends up on Asgard, ruling Asgard, but then they fall into... Jeff Goldblum's planet, which again,
Sakaar.
not taking itself too seriously. Freaking Jeff Goldblum as the leader of
Jeff Goldblum, being just Jeff Goldbluming the hell out of it. It was so perfect. He was great. He was excellent, and he was so over the top and so cheesy, and it was exactly what he was supposed to be in that role. It was Absolutely.
perfect.
Dude, and I just love the whole part where, like, you know, he drops out of the sky, Thor does, into this garbage pit, and they're like, are you a fighter or are you food? And he's like, oh, I'm just passing through. They're like, oh, you're food.
Food.
And right? And then the scavenger comes down, and she's all drunk out of the ship.
Oh,
God. Like she parks the ship like she's drunk, and she falls down like she.
She walks out and she goes, "No, yeah, he's mine."
And then she falls off the damn.
Yeah. She was and I've seen her in something else.
Did you see Creed?
No, was she in Creed?
Oh, dude. Not to diverge from Thor, but look, if you liked any of the Rocky movies,
I hear Creed is excellent,
fucking incredible. But yeah, she played Adonis Creed's love interest.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was fucking excellent, dude. Like
she was really good in this. I mean, she was great in this, and she played that perfect. I mean, again, it's, you know, it was kind of. It was comedy action, so she's not in a dramatic role, and she's not a love interest of anything, but it was still
right.
Yeah, still really good.
And then like she rescues him from that, and then she like puts that thing on his Thor's
Well, she rescues him, so she can go. Yeah.
So she could sell him into slavery,
right? Right.
And she shocks the shit out of him.
Oh, but remember, Jeff Goldblum, his character doesn't like the word slaves. They're not slaves.
That's right.
They're prisoners with jobs.
Right. But just every time, like, she shocks the shit out of him, dude.
I know.
Just makes me laugh.
I know.
And like, they put him in that chair once he gets into Sakaar, and like it's like he's in some Disney World ride. But if you notice in the background, they're playing the music from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
They're playing, Into the World of Pure Imagination.
Oh gosh.
They're not doing the, which direction we are going. That whole Gene Wilder bit when they're going to the thing. But totally, it's the music from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that they're playing when he's like sitting there. And then Stan Lee comes out and like cuts his hair. That was great.
Yes.
Hold still.
Yeah. Hold still. Well, that was after he met.
That was after that. Yeah, that was after he met Jeff Goldblum.
Not Jeff Gold. Well, he met Jeff Goldblum, but then he meets what the heck is his name? Korg.
Oh, Korg. Yeah, the
Korg, who's played by what the heck is his name?
The director.
The director. I can't remember his name.
The director did his voice. Yeah.
He's
Waitiki. He's
Taiki Waikiki or something. Yeah. Taiki Taka.
He's
something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's a Kiwi. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like
also a super fun character in this movie. Like
he was great.
Hysterical with great lines. Just this.
Hi, I'm Korg.
I'm
a rock guy, as you can see.
Yeah. What are you doing here? Well, I started a revolution, but it didn't go too well. We ran out of flyers.
Yeah, we didn't print up all the flyers for it. This is my friend. He's a worm with knives for hands.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his friend's name was.
I don't remember what his friend's name was. But again, it's just, the whole thing from start to finish, just so well written, so well directed. Every line's delivered perfectly. It was
just so much levity to it.
Yes. Never takes itself seriously. Never takes itself too serious kind of thing. It just was perfect. Yeah. And then, of course, Stan Lee cuts his hair, which I had seen. Now, I didn't see Ragnarok until it came out on Netflix. Okay. And I actually saw Infinity War before I saw Ragnarok.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. So when I saw Infinity War, of course, Thor was wearing the patch on his eye and he had no hair.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
And I was like, holy shit, what the hell did I miss? You know?
Yeah.
And, well, I had missed Ragnarok, which explains
Right.
how Thor gets the patch on his eye and how his hair gets cut. But actually, that leads me to a point that I wanted to make. I'm amazed, and I'm amazed at this whole story that the Marvel movies are telling.
Mm-hmm.
When you think, I mean, I was just thinking about it today because before we got together, I was sitting at home, I was watching Iron Man, and because it was on TNT or something,
It's
TBS,
been on, like, FX or something.
Yeah. But that was the one that basically started the whole thing, right? That was the first one.
It was the one that started.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the Incredible Hulk was second.
Right. And
with Ed Norton.
With Norton, right. So the whole story that's being told, when you think about, like, it started with Iron Man, and I was watching Iron Man, and I'm like, man, the whole story now they've told through how many, what is it? It's got to be 20 movies, right? 15, 20 movies.
19 or 20 movies over the course of 10 years.
Okay. It's just such a great, it's such an interesting story. And even there's been a couple of duds in the series, in the Marvel, series,
Sure.
but it's been a really cool story, the whole thing. And I was just thinking, I couldn't help but, when I was watching Iron Man and having just seen Ragnarok, I couldn't help but think, this is everything that the new Star Wars movies really want to be. This is exactly what they want to be. They want to tell these types of stories. And I know you like the new Star Wars movies. I don't. We can save that for a different time. But
sure.
I think the Marvel stuff does it so well. All of these stories are so, the whole story is so cool. And even when there's inconsistencies and there's crap, there's a dud here and there, I still think that the whole story from start to finish is very cool. But I'm digressing, but
yeah. But I mean, just to that point too, though, you got to figure that what the Marvel movies have going for it is they don't have 40 years of baggage like the Star Wars movies do.
They don't have all those expectations either.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. There's a lot of expectations from the fan base of the Star Wars movies. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then at the end of it, back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
So, like, some shit happens, and like
some shit happens, and some more shit happens, and then some other shit.
I'm thinking about it. I know. Like, we're really telling the movie.
We're kind of jumping.
Beginning to end.
I know we're kind of jumping around, but this is where we're at the point where Thor fights the champion, right?
Yeah.
Who then?
But then he also discovers that. Yeah. At that point, he also discovers that the chick that picked him up is a Valkyrie.
Is a Valkyrie,
like the
right?
Last Valkyrie from the ancient days of Asgard, and like the Valkyries were like the total badasses of Norse mythology and of Asgard. They were basically Odin's personal army.
Well, and Thor even says he wanted to be a Valkyrie when he was a kid.
Yeah. And they were all women too.
Right. He says, until I found out that they were all women.
Right.
I wanted to be a Valkyrie until I found out they were all women.
Yeah, and I couldn't. So, and then he gets into the arena, and they're like, "All right, this guy's just gonna be dead." And you find out that his opponent,
the best line, by the way, his opponent is the Hulk, and then Thor delivers the best line in the whole movie. I know him.
He's a friend from work.
When I first saw that, I mean, this time it didn't have, when I saw it, because I watched it this week, and then I had it on again, like I said, this afternoon while I was cleaning the basement. And it didn't have the impact that it did the first time I saw it, but the first time I saw it, I bust out. I was watching it on the train, and he says, we're friends from work. And I bust out laughing out loud on the train, and I remember like 2 or 3 people looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But
well, I mean, now thinking about it, like, Thor always usually has like the best one-liners, because he had the best one-liner in the original Avengers movie when they're like, well, Loki's done this, and he's like, well, he's my brother. He killed 10 million people. He's adopted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
then they do battle, and Thor it ends up in a draw, but Thor really kicks the shit out of the Hulk.
Thor would have kicked the shit out of the Hulk. If Thor has the hammer, Thor beats Hulk's ass. I mean, we all know Thor Thor was always the most powerful of any of the Avengers, without question.
Right.
I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a god after all, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think even in the tagline for Thor back in the day, he was Earth's mightiest Avenger.
Yeah, I do recall that.
So then next thing you know, they're back in this weird hallway, and Loki comes out and he says some shit, and then Thor makes his way to the Hulk's bedroom, and he's got this
the way he wakes up
state.
in there. He wakes up in there because the girls are all putting bandages on him, and Hulk is in the hot tub. And that's actually this is a super cool scene because we actually get to know Hulk, not Banner.
Right.
But we actually get to know and get to I actually think it's one of the longest scenes that Hulk actually talks.
Right.
I don't remember the character of the Hulk talking this much in any other movie, in any of the other Marvel movies.
No, he doesn't. He's mostly just grunts and stuff. And
right.
In the first Avengers movie, puny god. He didn't really have any lines. And even Hulk gives one of the greatest lines in the movie, "Oh, Hulk is like burning, raging fire. You're small, smoldering embers." It was fucking hilarious. And he's just bouncing the ball against the wall.
Then when Thor's talking to the Valkyrie, and he's I forget her name, but then Hulk's playing pinners against the wall or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I love the line later when after Hulk changes back into Banner, and they're talking, and Thor's trying to fill Banner in on what happened, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we actually fought. Oh, who won? Oh, I did. Oh, that doesn't sound right."
Right. So then they Thor's like, "I got to get out of here." Shit's about to go down, and they're stuck on this planet.
Well, he's still trying to save Asgard from Ragnarok and from Hela.
Right.
And Hulk just wants to stick around and beat people's ass, I guess, Hulk. And just be Hulk. Right. So, which you find out Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because you find out when he comes back to being Banner that it's actually been 2 years that Hulk's been Hulk. Banner hasn't been around for 2 years. Hulk's been essentially on this planet kicking people's ass for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah,
which is interesting because that plays into Infinity War. He's like, dude, if I go back to being the Hulk, I don't know if I can come back.
Right. Which again, that was a part of Infinity War that I didn't really get when Banner was talking about, look, I'm not there. The green guy's we're not having that anymore. Banner was very adamant about not changing to Hulk anymore. And I didn't I kind of got it because it's I know that there's the whole story of, it's the whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde story, right? Where Banner's constantly trying to not be taken over by the Hulk. So I kind of get it, but I still didn't. It wasn't as real as it was until after I saw Ragnarok, and then it's now that makes even more sense. Right. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
That's the one detriment to seeing these Marvel movies, because sometimes if you miss just one movie, you know, you're like, what? What's
you miss an important piece, right? You could miss an important part that is used to tell this part of the story in the next movie, right? Absolutely. Even if it's not a Thor movie or it's not a Captain America movie or whatever, you need to see Captain America so that this makes sense, or you need to see Thor Ragnarok so that this makes sense in Avengers, right? Right. Yeah.
Because it's all the pieces are interwoven; they all fit.
Right. Which again goes back to the idea of this whole thing is telling they're telling a really cool story, right?
Yeah, it's a very long story.
It's a very, very long story, and it's not. I don't think it's. The funny thing is, I don't think and I hate to draw the comparison again, but I don't think it's as good a story as the original Star Wars story. The whole Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, good, evil father son thing. I think that's such a powerful story. It's unfortunate that it was it wasn't done real well when you look at the prequels and now these latest ones.
Even
but
if you look at the and you know me, I'm a Star Wars apologist.
Right.
I love me.
Oh
some
yeah,
Star
no,
Wars,
I get it.
And then like even after the first movie, like Lucas, I don't think Lucas really even had a plan after that first movie came out because everybody anticipated that movie was just going to be a miserable failure.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like they threw the second movie, like even though like Empire is probably one of the greatest movies ever made, they kind of threw it together like, oh fuck, we got to do another one. What do we do?
Yep.
Well, how about this? And we'll make this here happen, and this here happens here, and this will happen here. It was like, I don't think. And of course Lucas is probably like, no, it was planned that way from the very beginning. Fucking lying piece of shit. But like this, like, the Star Wars tale was more like, it was decent storytelling, through the arc,
right,
through the first original 3 films, even to the prequels to a sort. They were executed poorly, but it continued the process of the storytelling. But there were 30 years between the 2 sets of movies.
Well,
and with this, like, they're like, look, they've been very, with the Marvel films, they've been very cognizant of how they've plotted these stories out. Like they've had a plan since Iron Man, how each movie was going to interlock and what was going to happen here, and and I was listening to a podcast recently where the guys who wrote Infinity War, when they're in the writer's room, they're like constantly having to check with all the other movies that are being made at the time to make sure that the continuity fits.
Oh, really?
They were having to talk to the guys in Ragnarok to be like, oh shit, so what do you guys do? Oh fuck, we got to rewrite this part. And then they had to talk to the people that were doing Black Panther, and Black Panther's, that writer was like, oh, we're doing this. So they're like, ah, shit, we got to tool this back to fit that narrative as well. So
that explains why this story is being told so well.
Yeah, they're very, it's very intricate and very detailed.
Yeah.
How they're really weaving everything together.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
It's very intentional. Yeah, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then, like Hulk.
Yeah.
And, Banner. Actually, at this point, it's Banner.
Right.
He and Thor are trying to get off planet.
Off of Goldblum's planet.
Yeah, they're trying to get off Sakaar.
Sakaar, is that the name of the planet? Yeah.
Sakaar. Yeah, and it's funny because the whole Sakaar thing that tied back to the Incredible Hulk. In the comics, they did an entire storyline called World War Hulk, where like they fired fucking Banner off of Earth because he was the Hulk, and they're like, we need to get this guy out of here because he's fucking everything up. And they shot him out into space, and he ends up on Sakaar and becomes like the god of Sakaar, like, and like Planet Hulk. Planet Hulk is the it went from World War Hulk, I believe, to Planet Hulk. Because, like Hulk was like fucking shit up and they kicked him off the planet. And they sent him way out in the middle of nowhere. And then he became like the leader of Sakaar, and he ends up like having a Hulk family out there and shit like that.
Oh, jeez.
Back to Earth. Yeah. So, but they kind of took elements of World War Hulk, kind of took elements of Planet Hulk, and added them into this narrative here with the Thor story.
Okay.
So...
Yeah, well, and it does kind of sound like a lot like what they did with, what is it, Sakaar? Yeah. Which I couldn't, and I'm sorry, I hate to draw the parallel again, but I couldn't help but continue to be reminded when I was watching the whole Sakaar scene. All I could think of was that latest Star Wars movie where they went to this planet. They went to that planet to get the guy with the locksmith guy or whatever the hell they called him.
Benicio del Toro. Yeah,
I couldn't help but make the comparison, and I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want to get far down in the weeds. But I couldn't help make the comparison in my head, like, oh, this is what it was supposed to be in that movie. Okay,
right?
Because it's like a total diversion from the story, but it's fun. But it's fun to watch, and it makes sense, right? And it's done well. But
from what I heard in original drafts of the Last Jedi, when they went to Canto Bright to that casino planet, they were going to try to get Billy D. Williams in to be Lando.
Oh, okay.
Instead of using the other guy, but I guess I don't know what happened, but it ended up not going that direction.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, so they're getting off planet, and
so
then,
they get off Sakaar, or they're getting off of Sakaar, right?
right, and then it's like they have
Through
to
the
go, what do
devil's
they call it?
anus.
The devil's anus, yeah.
They have to travel through the devil's anus to get off of Sakaar.
Right, and then they end up at that point. Did they get back to? Yeah, they had to have.
Yeah,
at that point.
they get back to Asgard.
Asgard, and
right.
but then they do that cool ass like slow motion story about the Valkyries. Like they do that flashback. To the Valkyries.
Yeah, well, because Loki and what's her name, the Valkyrie, get into that fight in the hallway, and he says, and he sees her tattoo or whatever it is on her arm, and says, "Oh, you're a Valkyrie." I thought all the Valkyrie died. That must be a horrible memory for you. And then he grabs her head and he shows her memories, right? Which I guess is what Loki can do. I guess it's one of the things he can do.
Yeah, that's a thing he can do, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and that scene was badass, dude.
It was really good. Yeah, and even that whole. You're talking about the scene on Asgard?
Yeah.
Yes, that whole scene on Asgard is great, and when Thor is in the throne room, ultimately to kind of get to that point, right? Ultimately, Thor gets to the throne room, and he challenges Hela for the throne. He sits in her throne, and she comes and says, "Get up, you're in my seat." And then they have this huge battle. In the meantime, all the people of Asgard are trying to get onto this ship that was from Korg, because Korg takes the ship there, and he finds what's his name, Heimdall. Heimdall.
Yeah, because Heimdall's gone into hiding. Yeah, because that was a whole subplot that he's taken like a lot of the Asgardians into hiding away from Hela, and they hide up in these mountains somewhere to kind of like keep out of range, because she's just killed. Like when she first makes her first appearance in Asgard, she goes up into like the square and she's like, "I'm Hela, I'm the firstborn, I'm the one who's supposed to do all this." And that one guy stands up and he's like, "No, this is bullshit, dude." And she murders everybody.
She goes all Uma Thurman on him.
Yeah. She was totally going up against the crazy 88.
Yeah.
And like murders everybody. And as she's walking through the body, she's like, "Oh, how I've missed this."
Yeah. And that's when they show then Heimdall takes the sword of Asgard and he goes into hiding with the people of Asgard, right? Which then, of course, shows up at the end. But that's when Korg, when this whole battle is happening, and Korg shows up and he finds Heimdall laying on the Bifrost, and he looks at him and he says, "Hi, I'm Korg. We're about to get on this big ship and get out of here. Want to come?"
Yeah. I'm a big guy. I'm made out of rock. I'm not really that bad. Come on with me.
Come with me.
We're gonna go. Yeah, like his character was just one of those, like he was just like that dorky guy in high school. "Well, we're gonna go do this, so if you'd like to come along,
if you want to come with me, come on. It's kind of it'll be fun, maybe. I don't know."
Right, we're gonna go do some stuff out in somewhere in the middle of space.
Yeah. So then, and Thor is at the same time he's having that big battle with Hela, and that's when he has
she like used that fire to resurrect the army of the dead and her badass wolf.
That big giant freaking wolf that then that then Banner changes into the Hulk to fight the wolf, and that's like a big moment too, because Banner decides, okay, I'm gonna have to fight this big giant wolf.
Yeah, because even in Ragnarok, he's like, "Dude, if I go back to being the good guy, I don't know if I can come back from this." Right.
And he he's with the Valkyrie when she says, "What are we gonna do?" And he says, "All right, why don't you wait here and I'll take care of this." And then he jumps out of the ship and you think, okay, Hulk is going to land on the Bifrost right in front of this giant wolf, but nope, he just splats right as Banner. He just punk.
Yeah, because he wasn't able to change during the fall.
During the fall,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Flood.
Yeah, but then at the climax, then through this they have this big battle, and then at the climax is when Thor has his trip to hell moment, whatever you want to call it, his Hades moment, where he sees Odin.
He ends up talking to Odin.
Right,
dude,
and Odin.
And that's like Odin's best line. He's like, "But I don't have my hammer," and Odin's like, Are you Thor, the god of hammers?
Yeah, right. Are you Thor, the god of hammers, or
Thor, the god of thunder?
Yeah,
and that's when that's when he has his Hulk Hogan moment, and starts getting all jazzed up, and the lightning shows up in his eyes and stuff like that. Dude, that was so badass.
Yeah, oh, so cool, man! At the end, when Thor and that's the second moment when they play Immigrant Song, when Thor is slow after he hits Hela with the lightning and the thunder and knocks her off of him, and I assume throws her at least out of the way long enough that he can jump off of whatever he's jump out of this thing onto the army, and the Immigrant Song comes up and he's just slow motion coming down on this army and just freaking lays waste to all of these freaking undead soldiers. Just boom, man. Yeah, that's such a cool scene. And it's the perfect song for it because, again, the whole movie not taking itself too seriously, man. It's the perfect song to do that too, because you're just like, oh, this is fucking... Because you're supposed to watch it and go, this is fucking bad ass. And it's exactly the response that you had. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool. Yeah.
And then he and Hela have their major battle on the Bifrost, and then I can't remember how Sauron gets his helmet back into the eternal fire.
Loki gives it to him.
And then basically
Thor sends Loki to go get it and throw it into the eternal fire, so that
which is funny because the entire time, like, Thor's like, "Oh, we got to prevent Ragnarok.
Right.
And then next thing you know, like, they're like, dude, we got to do Ragnarok. It has to
Well,
happen.
because that was one of Odin's. That was Odin's line, right? Asgard is not a place; it's a people.
Right.
And that's when Thor realizes that when they're standing on the Bifrost, like, and when he realizes he's not going to be able to beat Hela, he's going to have to basically give her Asgard and then let Asgard be destroyed. Right. That's the only way to destroy her, is you let her rule over Asgard and then let Asgard be destroyed. And that's...
Yeah, because, I mean, even at the very beginning of the movie, Odin was like, well, she's power. She draws her power from Asgard.
Right.
So, and the only way to destroy her would be to allow Asgard to be destroyed. Right.
Allow her to rule and then allow Asgard to be destroyed. And that's... Yeah. And it was so cool. Yeah.
Dude, and then, like she starts going up against... Sauron, and like they have their battle, and as they're
I love that you call
battle,
him Sauron.
I can't remember. It starts with an S.
It does start with an S. It's like Sirach or Sir. I looked it up. I looked it up because I wanted to know, and it's like Sirach or Sir. I don't know. I think it's something like that.
Sirach is Jay-Z's vodka. So.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe. But yeah, so then they have their battle, and while they're battling it out, Thor like kind of gets the rest of the Asgardians and himself onto the rocket ship to get them the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much the movie.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and they fly up into the sky, and next thing you know, they're confronted by this massive ship, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, that was in the post credits scene, right?
And then that's basically leads you right into Infinity War, because that's when he also runs into the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's like, "Who the hell are you guys?"
Right. Which
during this, and also during the battle, he loses his eye.
Yes, he loses his eye with Hela. Hela takes his eye out, and she says, "What was her line before she took his eye out?"
I don't know. It's probably
I don't remember. Snarky. It was something snarky, and it was something like that. And then when he turns around, he says, "Oh, now you look like Dad."
Yeah.
She says. Yeah. She tells him, "Now you look like Dad."
Right.
God.
Yeah, which is funny because like even at the beginning when like she first introduced himself, she's like, "Oh, you don't look anything like Odin." And then Loki's like, "Well, maybe we could work this out." And she's like, "But you sound like him."
You sound like him. Yeah.
So as far as this movie is concerned, would you give a fuck yeah or fuck this movie?
Watch this fucking movie. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people who are probably listening to this have probably already watched it. I would say watch it again.
Absolutely.
This is probably like I said, for me, the first two Captain America movies are great. The Avengers movie, the first Avengers movie, is excellent. This is right up there with those three, in my opinion. It's
sure. Well, I mean, I would even go as far as to say it was up there with like, even Civil War. Like Captain America Civil War was even really, really good.
Yeah, Civil War I had really high hopes for, and I was maybe it was a very good movie, but I had really, really high hopes for it. So I think I you know what I mean? I think I kind of overhyped it in my own head. Yeah, because I wasn't as excited about it as I was with the first two Captain Americas and then that first Avengers movie, but
right.
Yeah, but this was as good as any Marvel movie out there.
Dude,
without
it
question.
Was so good.
Yeah.
And I, it was bright. It was everything a DC movie is not. It's bright. It's levity. There's humor in it.
Yep.
It's not taking itself too seriously, and that's why I'm surprised that you didn't like the Guardians of the Galaxy films, because like this one plays right into those other two movies.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. We can talk about that. I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly why. No, I actually do. I actually don't mind Chris Pratt. I'm not sure why the Guardians of the Galaxy movies just don't. They just don't do anything for me. They're just not.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't. Maybe it's because it's just all. It's all comedy. It's like one line after the other, and I don't think the lines are. I didn't think. Like I said earlier with this one, I think the lines are delivered perfectly every single time. And I think that makes a difference. And I'm not sure that I get that from. I love Pratt in the Jurassic Park movies. I think he was great. Oh, phenomenal!
I haven't seen the second one yet.
Not as much action in it. Not as much dinosaur stuff, but as the other one. The first one, in my opinion, was so good. So good, and he's excellent in it. He's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely see this movie. That's my vote. So yeah.
I will say the same. So for the next in 2 weeks, what do you got for us? You pick the movie this time.
All right. So have you seen Creep with Mark Duplass?
No.
Excellent, because that's what we're doing. It's we've had a couple of over 2-hour movies. Creep is only like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's a bit of
sweet.
It's a bit of a cult classic-ish kind of thing. And from what I understand, it's a found footage type of movie. Although I haven't seen it, but I hear it's excellent, and I hear the name is perfect. So it's right up my alley, man. It's right up my alley. Very small cast, I guess, and supposed to be really, really good. So we're gonna watch Creep with Mark Duplass.
Nice. All right. Well, guys, that's it for Netflix and Chill this week. I'm Reuben.
I'm Tom. Is that it?
Say it, or am I?
Oh, it's Brittany, bitch. Leave Brittany alone. Right?
Peace, bitches.
Later.